something in your daily life is quietly wearing down the part of you that senses inner light, your pineal gland, and almost no one realizes how common the exposures and habits are that may contribute to that slow erosion. I say this not to scare you, but because the very things we accept as normal, artificial light late at night, chronic stress, a constant rush of stimulation, are what many traditions and some researchers warn could interfere with that subtle center we call the third eye. This video is about a simple, body-based practice you can do anywhere, a traditional tongue technique called Rechari Mudra that may help protect and support the pineal's function. Some experts and traditions suggest modern exposures can affect pineal health. This is informational, not medical advice. If you want to try this later, save this video now or subscribe so you can find it again. The pineal gland is a small, pea-sized structure deep in the center of the brain. In spiritual language, it's often called the third eye, a seat of inner sight, rhythm, and subtle awareness. In medical terms, it produces melatonin and helps regulate your circadian rhythm. In yogic language, it's where light is imagined to pool behind the brow. Why do people care? Because when that center feels dull or out of balance, many notice fogginess, poor sleep, or a diminished felt sense of clarity. Modern life, bright screens, irregular sleep, chronic low-level stress, is thought by some to place ongoing pressure on those systems. Again, the science is not settled. We're exploring practices rooted in centuries of tradition with cautious reference to anatomy and physiology that may help support that inner center. Here's why a gentle tongue technique might matter. Anatomically, the roof of your mouth, the palate, sits directly under the base of the skull. The palate and nearby tissues are richly supplied with sensory nerve endings and are connected into cranial nerve pathways, including branches that influence parasympathetic tone. Some researchers and anatomists hypothesize that stimulating the palatal area can indirectly influence vagal pathways and the autonomic balance that governs rest and repair. Yogic frameworks describe a bindu point and a closed energetic circuit in that region, a subtle loop that, when engaged, redirects attention inward and calms the nervous system. Put simply, touching the palate with the tongue can create a localized stimulation that feels grounding in the body and inward in attention, a combination that many report as supportive to pineal-related functions like sleep regulation and inner clarity. These are plausible explanations, not medical certainties. That brings us to Rechari Mudra. This is an old, simple tongue position used in certain pranayama and meditative traditions. It's not mystical theater. It's a practical somatic habit you can build into a daily ritual.
I'll walk you through 3 progressive levels: a safe beginner position, a deeper intermediate placement, and a historical note on the advanced form, which I strongly discourage you from attempting without long-term practice and expert supervision. Begin with posture. Sit comfortably with a straight spine, sitting on a chair, on a cushion, whatever feels stable. Tuck your chin slightly so your skull aligns over your spine. Let your shoulders be soft. Close or soften your eyes. Allow the jaw to relax so the tongue can move without tension. Breathe gently and naturally through your nose. If you feel any pain or strong discomfort at any point, stop and rest. Level 1. The approachable start. Gently place the tip of your tongue on the hard palate, just behind the ridge where your upper teeth meet the gum. You'll feel the small groove or the area of firmer tissue. That's the target. Press only as lightly as you would press the tip of a pencil against paper. No strain. Keep the rest of the tongue relaxed. Breathe through the nose in a steady, calm rhythm. Allow the breath to be diaphragmatic, nothing forced. Hold this position for a short, comfortable interval. Start with 2 to 5 minutes. If 2 minutes feels enough, stop there and rest. Practice daily for a week and notice how your body responds. Many people find this position surprisingly calming and report a sense of pressure or slight warmth in the upper palate or behind the brow. That's normal. If you notice pronounced pain, gagging, or distress, release the tongue and breathe normally. Consult a healthcare provider if symptoms persist. Level 2. Gentle progression. When Level 1 feels easy and unstrained, you can explore sliding the tongue slightly further back toward the soft palate. This is a deeper contact, not a hard push. Move slowly, paying attention to your gag reflex and comfort. The goal is a relaxed, fuller contact with the palate's posterior surface, not force. Combine this placement with a slowing of your nasal breath. For example, inhale for a comfortable count of 4 and exhale for a count of 6, keeping everything gentle.
As you hold the position, bring a soft inward attention. Imagine light gathering behind the brow, or feel your breath washing from the nostrils up through the skull and settling at the center of the head. Hold for 5 to 10 minutes once you've built up to it, and you can do this in one block or in shorter rounds with a minute to rest between. Again, stop immediately if you feel pain. A short practical cue. In level 2, if you begin to salivate or the back of your throat feels ticklish, shorten the duration and return to level 1 for a few sessions. The tongue muscles will gradually strengthen and the gag reflex often becomes less reactive with gentle, consistent practice. Level 3, the historical advanced form. In some classical practices, a handful of long-term practitioners describe reaching the tongue very far back toward the nasopharyngeal corridor, a stretch into the deeper soft palate region. Historically, this was done only by advanced practitioners under direct guidance, and often followed years of preparatory breath work, bodily conditioning, and supervised practice. I will not instruct you to attempt that here. It carries a higher risk of gagging or strain, and should only be considered with skilled supervision, a trusted teacher, and ideally a background in supportive pranayama and physical conditioning. Think of level 3 as a historical note, not a goal to rush toward. Now let's weave this into a short ritual that you can do in the morning or just before sleep, times when the nervous system is primed for restoration and the pineal cycles are most relevant. Choose a quiet place where you won't be interrupted. Sit comfortably, phone aside. Begin with 3 centering breaths. Inhale slowly through the nose, feel the belly rise. Pause a beat if that feels natural. Exhale fully through the nose. On the 3rd exhale, let your tongue find the level 1 position. From there, continue with a slow, natural nasal breath. If you wish, use a soft count, like inhaling for 3 or 4 and exhaling for 4 to 6, but never force the breath. After a minute or two in level 1, if you feel comfortable, slide gently into level 2 placement and soften your breath further. Hold for your chosen duration. Start with 5 minutes total for the whole practice, and build gradually up to 10 or 15 as comfort and time allow. End the session by relaxing the tongue, resting the hands in your lap, and noticing the body for a minute. Any changes in heart rate, clarity of mind, or warmth in the face and brow. Many people report subtle, pleasant sensations, a feeling of pressure or fullness behind the eyes, mild tingling across the scalp, warmth in the upper palate, or the sense of a quiet pulsing between the eyebrows. Some see soft light, or sense a shift into inward attention, but many feel nothing at all, and that's perfectly normal. Sensations can vary day to day. The absence of dramatic effects does not mean the practice is useless. Consistency is what matters. Aim for daily short sessions rather than sporadic, intense attempts. Troubleshooting. If your tongue tires, shorten the time and practice gently several times a day in short bursts. If you experience nausea or a strong gag reflex, back off immediately and stick with the tip position or brief holds until the reflex diminishes with gentle repetition. If you feel pain anywhere, jaw, throat, ear, or a sharp discomfort, stop and consult a health professional before continuing. Do not try to force a deeper placement to chase a feeling. Fatigue in the tongue muscles is common at first and will pass as you build strength. Hydration helps. A small sip of water after a session can ease dryness. Safety is central.
This technique is low risk when done slowly and without strain, but it is not a medical treatment. Do not use it as a substitute for professional care for sleep disorders, chronic pain, or serious neurological conditions. If you have a history of severe gag reflex, ENT issues, recent dental work, throat surgeries, or anything that concerns you anatomically, check with a healthcare provider before doing extended holds. Pregnant people should consult their provider before beginning any new breathing or hold practices. If you ever feel short of breath, dizzy, or faint, release the posture and breathe normally through the nose and mouth until you feel steady. There's a larger context here beyond the technique. The modern lifestyle factors the video title points to are often ubiquitous. Light at night suppresses natural melatonin rhythms, stress raises sympathetic tone, and constant stimulation can keep the mind in outward orientation rather than inward. Rechari Mudra is not a magic bullet against those pressures. What it offers is a practical way to nudge attention inward, engage palatal sensory pathways, and cultivate a calmer nervous state that is conducive to restoration. Combining the mudra with consistent sleep, reduced nighttime light exposure, gentle breath practices, and short daily rituals, especially early in the morning or before sleep, is a realistic, accessible strategy. How to integrate this into a week? Begin with 5 minutes a day for the first 7 days, in the morning, right after waking and before your phone. In the second week, add a short evening session of 5 minutes before bed.
By the third week, you can experiment with a single 10-minute session midday if that suits your schedule, always honoring comfort. Keep a small practice journal. Note duration, sensations, sleep quality, and mood. Over time, you'll discover patterns, days when it feels particularly balancing and days when it's subtle. If you're wondering how long until you see effects, some people notice subtle shifts in sleep or mental clarity within a week. For others, it takes longer or remains imperceptible. That variability is normal. The practice is about creating a supportive environment for your inner rhythms rather than promising a dramatic, guaranteed outcome. A few practical tips to make the ritual sustainable. Pick the same 2 windows of time each day so it becomes a habit. Create a small physical cue, a candle, a mat, or a folded cloth that signals it's your practice time. Keep your phone away and set a gentle timer if you like, but try not to watch the clock during the practice. If you feel self-conscious, practice at home until you're comfortable. Gentle music or silence is fine. The key is inward orientation. Historically, trained yogis used this and other techniques as part of a larger system, including breath control, ethical behavior, and lifestyle elements that support subtle perception.
We're borrowing a single practical element from that lineage and adapting it to modern life with safety and simplicity in mind. Let me summarize the essentials. The title's alarm is meant to get your attention. Modern life can create conditions that make the pineal's rhythms harder to maintain. Rechari Mudra is a simple, body-based method that may help by engaging palatal sensory pathways, calming the nervous system, and redirecting attention inward. Start easy. Level 1 with the tongue tip behind the teeth for 2 to 5 minutes. Breathe gently through the nose and practice daily. Progress slowly to level 2 when comfortable. Treat level 3 as historical and do not attempt without expert guidance. Stop if you feel pain. Consult a professional if you have health concerns. If you want a guided progression, a safe, structured 21-day plan that eases you through the practice with clear daily steps, journaling prompts, and gentle breath sequences, there's a link to that guide in the description. It's designed for people who want a supportive, practical path rather than a quick fix. Whether you choose the guided program or prefer your own paced practice, start with 5 minutes today. Notice how your body and mind respond over the week and report back to your own curiosity. You don't have to master anything instantly. Protecting and reawakening inner sight is about consistency, gentle curiosity, and safety. Start small, be kind to your body, and let a quiet practice accumulate into something steady. The modern world may present pressures to that inner center, but with simple, regular care, breath, intention, and a mindful tone placement, you can push back in a gentle, sustainable way.